Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we are doing the Champions Report on the WBC, the World Boxing Council, the Green Belt. As this is the first edition of the Champions Report of 2024, as we are going to discuss all title belts and champions from 122 pounds all the way to heavyweight. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So, starting at 122 here, we're going to jump right in and look at the Super Bantamweight World title, which is currently held by the undefeated and undisputed Super Bantamweight champ Naoya Inoue, the monster. What we know is that Inoue is going to be moving forward with his mandatory title defense against WBC mandatory challenger, former two-division world champion Luis Nery. They are going to collide in May, in early May, likely May 6th or 7th on ESPN. They're still trying to confirm the venue and that official date. That should be confirmed, and I will give my prediction on that fight between Inoue and Nery on the next Champions Report at the end of April, early May. Next, at 126 featherweight, the reigning champion is Rey Vargas of Mexico. Vargas is set to defend his title this Friday, March 8th, against undefeated mandatory challenger Nick Ball of the United Kingdom. This fight is going to take place on the DAZN pay-per-view card that is headlined by Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou. It's taking place in Saudi Arabia. Should be a good one. I'm really looking forward to this fight. Vargas hasn't fought in over a year since suffering his first loss when he moved up to 130 and attempted to capture the title there, the vacant title there against O'Shaquie Foster. He's moved back down to 126. The fight with Brandon Figueroa, not sure what happened with it, but Nick Ball is his opponent this Friday. It's a good matchup. I'm predicting Rey Vargas to win this fight by a tough decision. But I wouldn't be surprised if Nick Ball pulls it off. But what I see in this fight is Vargas with that 5-inch height advantage and the reach advantage. I just think he's going to outwork the younger Nick Ball. But again, Nick Ball is a little pinball. He's a little bulldog. He's going to come in there and try to land those big shots. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if he pulls it out. Going to be a good fight, though, in my opinion, on Friday, March 8th on DAZN pay-per-view. But again, I'm picking Rey Vargas to retain the WBC title. 130, super featherweight. The reigning champion there is O'Shaquie Foster. Foster returned to action on February 16th, I believe, when he took on Abraham Supernova. And I told everybody that this was going to be a good fight, and it was that. Nova won some early rounds. Foster got back into it and really put the pressure on and even scored a knockdown against Nova. That was significant as Foster got out of there with a close split decision victory as he retained his WBC world title in this fight. We know there's been talks of unification with Lamont Roach, the WBA champion, but Roach has mandatories due. So we're going to see what goes down. I'm hoping we hear something on what O'Shaquie Foster is going to do next by the next Champions Report at the end of April, early May. So we'll see. 135 lightweight, the reigning undefeated champion there is Shakur Stevenson. Stevenson temporarily retired, but really isn't retired. From what I hear, Bob Arum and Top Rank are trying to get him a fight by June. But nothing has been official. I do believe by the next Champions Report, we will know what Shakur Stevenson is going to do next and who he's going to fight and what the date will be. So hopefully we have an answer by the next Champions Report at the end of April, early May. 140 junior welterweight. The reigning undefeated champion there is Devin Haney of the United States. Devin Haney confirmed his next fight in a big one. He will return on Saturday, April 20th on DAZN pay-per-view and make the first defense of his world title when he takes on Ryan Garcia. Big time matchup right here. I cannot wait to see this fight on April 20th. I'm making a prediction now. I'm not 100% on it, but I do think it's a good matchup. But I am making a prediction. I'm picking Devin Haney to win this fight by a decision. But I do believe Ryan Garcia has a very good chance of pulling it out. We will know what happens by the next Champions Report. Again, this fight takes place Saturday, April 20th on DAZN pay-per-view. Make sure you check that fight out. 147 welterweight, the reigning undefeated and unified champion is Terrence Bud Crawford. Still no news on what Crawford is going to do next. We know Crawford wants to fight Canelo Alvarez, but that fight likely not going to happen. But Crawford is trying to get something going. We don't know what it's going to be. We haven't heard anything. Crawford hasn't fought since he became the undisputed champion last year when he stopped Errol Spence Jr. in 9 rounds. We know the rematch with Errol Spence is almost for sure not going to happen. So Crawford trying to land something else. We know Mario Barrios is the interim champion and waiting around to see what happens. So hopefully by the next Champions Report, we know what Terrence Crawford is going to do next. I believe we will. I'm making that prediction right now. I believe we will find out. But again, it's kind of all up in the air. Haven't heard anything concrete on what Crawford is potentially doing next. 154 super welterweight. The title is vacant. Jermell Charlo was stripped of the title in January. And when the Tim Tszyu Keith Thurman card was announced, the WBC ordered Sebastian Fundora to fight for the vacant title against Sergey Boyhachuk as the vacant world title will go on the line. How Fundora, after getting knocked out against Brian Mendoza last year, has earned this fight is beyond me, but he's getting the fight. And on March 30th on Amazon Prime pay-per-view, he will challenge for the vacant title against Bohachuk. I'm picking Fundora to win this fight by a decision, maybe even a stoppage. But even though Bohachuk hasn't fought anybody, he has a good knockout record. And Fundora, we don't know how he's going to bounce back following a knockout loss to Mendoza. That was the first loss of his career. It was a brutal knockout. How is he going to bounce back against a guy that does have power? We're going to see on March 30th as he kicks off the pay-per-view, fighting for the vacant title against Bohachuk. I'm picking him to win the title though, but we'll see what happens by the next Champions Report. 160 middleweight. The undefeated but inactive champion there is Jermall Charlo of the United States. We still do not know what Charlo is going to do. We know Charlo wanted to fight Canelo next. He wanted to be the next guy in line for Canelo at 168 super middleweight. It looks like that is almost for sure not going to happen. So what will Charlo do next? Will Charlo return to 160 and defend his title against interim champion Carlos Adames? Will he fight somebody else at 168? Will the WBC finally strip him of his world title and let Adames fight, upgrade him and let him fight? We will see. But I am hoping and praying, and I'm going to make a prediction right now, that the WBC will make a decision on Charlo, and he will at least be defending his middleweight title, or he will be stripped or be declared the champion in recess, and Adames will be allowed to be upgraded to champion and be moving forward with his next defense. Hopefully we have some answers by the next Champions Report at the end of April, early May. 168 super middleweight, the reigning and undisputed champion is Saul Canelo Alvarez. Canelo, what we know about him is that he wanted to fight Jermall Charlo and defend his undisputed title against him on May 4th. The PBC, who he's under contract with for 3 fights, said no, or they told him they wouldn't pay him his minimum of $35 million for that fight. So Canelo may have broken his contract with the PBC. It's still not 100% yet, and he could be going back to DAZN. But the front runner, whether it's on DAZN or still with the PBC, because the rumor is still that he is with the PBC, but it's not 100%. But the rumor is that he will be defending against undefeated Mexican and former junior middleweight champ Jaime Munguia, who's coming off of the big win over John Ryder in January. That looks to be what is going to happen, but it's not 100% finalized. But we do know that Canelo wants to fight on May 4th and is likely going to fight on May 4th. And if that happens, which it should, it looks like Jaime Munguia is the opponent. But we will know for sure by the next Champions Report at the end of April, early May, and I will make my prediction on who he is going to fight. But I think it's going to be Munguia, but we'll see. But the WBC looks to be moving in a direction that if Canelo does not fight David Benavidez by September, that he will be stripped of the belt and Benavidez will be upgraded to champion at 168. So a lot of moving pieces, but hopefully we have some answers by the next Champions Report at the end of April, early May. 175 light heavyweight. The reigning WBC and unified champion is undefeated Arthur Beterbiev. What we know is that Beterbiev is going, Beterbiev first off returned in January to defend his 3 belts against his WBC mandatory challenger and former super middleweight champion Callum Smith. He ran over Callum Smith. His timing was off. He could not seem to land anything big on Beterbiev, and Beterbiev just methodically broke him down and dominated him, stopping him in 7 rounds impressively to retain his unified world title. Then it was announced in February that Beterbiev and Dimitri Bivol have agreed to terms. They are going to fight on Saturday, June 1st in the main event of a pay-per-view card from Saudi Arabia. They will collide for the undisputed light heavyweight championship of the world on June 1st. I cannot wait to see that. That is exciting news. Very much so looking forward to it. And then it was also announced that David Benavidez will be moving up to 175 to fight for the WBC interim light heavyweight title against former champion Alexander Vovcik. So the winner of Beterbiev Bivol could be fighting David Benavidez or Vovcik next. So a lot of moving pieces, a lot of excitement going on for the light heavyweight title at 175. Then at 200 pounds cruiserweight. Oh, I will make my prediction on the fight between Bivol and Beterbiev for the WBC and undisputed title at the next Champions Report at the end of April, early May. Next, 200 pounds cruiserweight, the reigning champion there is Noel Gabor or Mikhailian. Haven't heard anything official on his next opponent, but it's likely he's going to fight Ryan Rozicki, the power puncher, next. The WBC has yet to order the fight, but I believe that they are going to collide next in a mandatory fight. I'm hoping by the next Champions Report at the end of April, early May, that fight will have been ordered at the very least and will be on the schedules. We'll see, but we will know and find out by the next Champions Report at the end of April, early May. And then finally, the WBC Heavyweight Championship is still held by the undefeated and reigning champion Tyson Fury. Fury was supposed to fight Alexander Usyk to unify all 4 belts and fight for the undisputed title on February 17th. That fight got postponed and rescheduled for May 18th because Fury suffered a bad cut in training. So now May 18th, Fury will battle Usyk for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. That is going to take place on pay-per-view. I will give my prediction on that fight on the next Champions Report at the end of April, early May. So we'll see what happens. But that's it. That's what I got. That is the WBC Champions Report. The World Boxing Council, the Green Belt, as we cover all champions from 122 all the way to heavyweight. This is the first edition of 2024 of the Champions Report. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.